Hey everyone, welcome to Infinite Audio. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit like and subscribe and check out the rest of the content. We do cook-ups, beat tutorials, compositions. I do gear reviews. Also have a shop on Reverb. If you guys want to check it out whenever I post gear, you can get it at a real good price. If you shop with me at reverb.com there, I'll leave the link below. So let's get started. Let's dive in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys as I always do. And here we have our handy dandy Logic. And so what I put here on the notes section is 12 steps so that you can get to mixing very quickly. And I'll go through them one by one in order. And now, mind you, if you're like academically trained, like if you went to audio school, like you went to SAE, Full Sail, Berkeley, or any of those institutions, this isn't for you really because you already have a curriculum that you go by, and this is for people who just want to get to mixing their own stuff very quickly and be able to do basically their own mixing for themselves, and they are not going to attend audio school or whatnot. So I'm just giving a quick little crash course on just the fastest way to get started. So let's dive in. Here's the 12 steps here. Now, one, put the tracks in order. Okay, let me get over here real quick. Put the tracks in order. So now as you could see here, they're numbered. That's not always going to be the case. They're going to be all over the place. Your kick on one will be like on track 15, and your snare on that's on 3 will be like on 22. So you got to put them all in order, and then you got to rename the tracks here. Step 2. Now, do not rename the raw audio files, the ones that they send you, the raw trackouts. Don't rename those. Just rename them here in your DAW. Okay. Then 3, gain stage. So you want to make sure that you're good on the gain staging. On this session, it was good enough, and so we did that, left it there at Unity. Then we went to volume and panning. Right there, as you could see, our faders are mostly in Unity for the most part. I dropped them all down and then raised them back up to where I felt the volume levels were good, and I only panned the harmony vocals to the left because that was all of as far as that part of the panning that needed. And I did from there on. Of course, we did some EQ. From everywhere, from started with the vocals, but then I went from the vocals, I went down to the band. Hold on, can't. There you go. So right here, I EQ'd all the way from the kick, the drums, all the way up to the bass, everything, the entire session, through it all. And on this session, there were frequencies all over the place. So sometimes you can compress first and then EQ if you want a certain sound, but in this case, EQ first was definitely the thing. Then we did some compression. We did some parallel compressing on the drums and the bass, and we ran it here through this bus right here. Then we added a little bit of reverb on the vocals, on the vocalist here. We did a little bit of reverb there. I did not add no delay. I didn't feel that they needed any delay, but there are sessions where I do add a little bit of it. Color code. Now, I have it at number 9, but in reality, you could do this. There's no set rule. I like to do it early on, and the reason why is because if it's something with the drums, I'm looking for red, 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 red. I'll dismiss anything. If it's the vocals, it's blue, blue, blue. I'll dismiss all the other colors. If it's the acoustic guitar, it's light green. The electric, I already know where in the session I want to go. Bass, orange. So there you go. If it's, as soon as I find out where it is, I just go straight from the color and I don't have to read. So it just helps you, stay organized, but it also helps you mix a lot faster and go through the session and get to the part that you need to get to that you're looking for. Right? Automation. I'm going to show y'all some cool automation on the faders right there that we did. And then finally, what's considered the final mix. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and play the track right here. I can never get this right. There you go. And let's see what we got here. Okay. Okay, there you go. My bad, my bad, my bad. There you go. So y'all hear that out real quick. So you see, so now a lot of the mix I already went and did it, and so that's why I'm just saying, like, you start off, with this list right here, and you go through it to get to the point where you're ready to track it out. Now in the industry, you don't have a lot of time to turn in these mixes. But for multi-track, I always try to see if I can at least do 48 hours, but submit something within 24. But just so that I can see where if there's any revisions that need to be made, they could be made right then and there. And hopefully it's a happy client and there's not much and you can move on. And I also like to sleep on my mixes because I want to wake up the next day and hear it with a fresh set of ears to see if what I heard last night was not what I woke up with. So that happens from time to time. So now you're already here, you know, uh, uh, already did almost all of this out here, and it's time to do a stereo check just to make sure that there's no phasing issues or anything like that. Now there's a lot of stuff on the internet where you can learn, and I highly I advantage to take those. I'm just giving you guys a quick 12 steps that you could take a screenshot and follow on your mixing sessions. And if you go to join certain like mix club, or if you go to certain channels on YouTube, you can download the raw trackouts and practice mixing. And when you practice, go with these 12 steps right here. It's just the basics, just to get you started for mixing your own stuff. If you you know what I'm saying, if you're working on a beat or you're working on somebody's vocals, and there you go. You see. So here on the vocal, I'll give you guys a quick story. Now the vocal is always the most important thing out of anything. It's the one that stands out. Now, I duplicated the vocal because it was thin, right? They were a little thin. I added some EQ to remove the harsh frequencies here, right? The all this right here and all this, and then just with that alone, the vocal sounded great. Then I added a console with the pop vocal so that the vocal can start sticking out and poking through. Then I went down the chain with an 1176 to give it that, catch those transients that were all over the place and just kind of, compress those down. And then, top it off with a LA2A so that it could just sound more present and more robust, and then catch other transients that are more slower coming through. Then we added also a send on some reverb. Did a little bit of reverb there. I EQ'd the reverb, and just a little bit. There was no need for delay for this session, for this thing here. You could if I want to for the sake of adding it, but this session just felt that it didn't need it. Then when I duplicated, I just EQ'd this, but I did not compress it. I left it like that, just the same. It was just as a backup to make that vocal thicker. Then the harmonies, I did duplicate the harmonies and the chains, so that, and panned it off to one side, so that when you hear it on headphones, it sounds nice, and it's not competing with the main vocal in the front and center. That's why I panned them to the side, both. And then on the drums. So once I took care of the vocals, I started working on all the drums, the bass, the guitars. And what I did was I added a little bit of automation on this one, and I want to show it to you guys real quick. So you hit A in Logic, right? You get on the track or whatever, you hit A, and then it starts to show you the automation. So we're gonna go to the drums in red, and I could see right here where I started working on the volume. And here you go. You see it right here? And so I make the volume faders here go up because when the drummer's doing his cadence and he's hitting the toms, I wanted that part to stand out So I wanted to bring up the volume on that so that at least for that piece right there, you can hear those drums. So let's go ahead and check that out. Put it on the mixer board so you guys could see the faders move. See that right there? Let me try that one more time real quick because I didn't show the correct faders. And it's real cool when you do it like this. When you automate it like this, and then you run it back through the mixer board. And this is in every DAW. You'll see this faders move. How awesome is that, right? So that's pretty cool right there. That was pretty dope. You know, so I did that because I wanted to hear that, you know, that cadence part of the drums when they're hitting the toms and the snares. So we did that. We did a stereo check. We added a limiter, a compressing limiter, but we're using the limiter, not the actual compression. Uh, and so part of why we did that is so that there's no peaking. So when you play it, we're right here at 2.5. Now, uh, if it's a little like this, then just go back to the compressor and then just drop the output a little more and hit the makeup gain a little there, and that'll allow it to just uh, fix the volume level. See? And so therefore, you see, so there's no peaking, right? And so now, mind you, this isn't a master. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a mastering engineer. You know what I'm saying? As you could see, I don't have. You need acoustic treatment. You need a place that's acoustically treated, and you need analog gear to get a real good vintage master. So I don't offer that services, but there's a lot of engineers out there that do because they actually have an acoustic treated studio with the analog gear to provide that. And so I don't, but I do refer you to mastering engineers who are great colleagues, great friends of mine, and they're happy that I send clients that way, and they throw me something back every now and then too. So now we're gonna check the stereo tool, and we want to see like something like roundish and oval, plane, to know that we're getting a full 360 view. So, and this is the flux stereo tool. So you want to apply this to the master so that you could see in Logic or whatever DAW, so that you could see how everything's going. Make sure that there's no phase issues, nothing's canceling out or anything. And I put a stereo spreader on it because it was very mono-ish before. So when you look at the stereo tool without it, right, and then when you play it, um, one second, and so we play it like, you see that, and you see it's going to a peak here. You know, it's going out of phase here. So when you add the stereo spread, now everything is good now. So there you go. That's the stereo side that you want because we're mixing in stereo in this session. So now when it's time for you to bounce it out, if you're going to bounce it out into a 2-track to send it to a mastering engineer, you want to have one on and then turn this one off. So bounce one without the limiter and bounce one with it. You know, okay? And now what this limiter does, okay, is that it stops it from peaking. It's 3.5. So the mastering engineer still has -3 decibels to work with on the mastering. That's why without it it can take up that headroom, which is he can fix, and is just going to be a little more work because he's going to have to get he's going to have to just take out the output to put it back to where it's not peaking without losing any volume. So, you know, one with, one without. and if it's gonna be in a 2-track, or you could just send all the multi-track outs all one by one, and let them do the leveling. Let them do that, right? Since that's what you're paying them for anyways. So now, mind you, we're mixing, we're not mastering. So this is just a multi-track mix, and this is how it looks like. And so I left that 12 step there, so you could just go by that when you open it. So when you get some mixing stems, and you get to mixing, because no matter how many books you read, no matter how many tutorials you watch, at the end you have to get to mixing. That's the only way you learn, and that's the only way you get good at it. So, you know, get you some stems, just start practicing, and go by these 12 steps. And I encourage you to look into more resources on YouTube and online to help you get better with your mixing. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up for you guys, and that was it right there. And so check it out. You know, practice your mixing, use that 12 steps, and we'll see you next time. Appreciate it.